How the heck are you, everybody? I am Fastidious. Welcome to my channel and welcome to a hero guide I've been thinking about making for literally months. The procrastination ends today. We are talking Twinfiend, specifically in the Guild Boss. This is going to be a Guild Boss showcase, and I will directly compare him to Mr. Pyros. So as you can see, I've got an A1 Twinfiend. If you want to hear about A0 Twinfiend, I will talk about that later in the video, give you my thoughts on when he may be better than Pyros. But in a lot of situations, you're going to want to just go with your at least A3, ideally A5 Pyros, A3 being important because that's how you get the extended vulnerabilities from the delusional gaze. But this is going to be focused on Twinfiend kind of at the peak of his powers. I will give optional builds, if you cannot go full meta and get proper DPS on him. I will have something that's more of like a supporty spammer kind of build that we will specifically go through. I will also talk about different artifacts. You'll see me shout out 3 main artifacts in this video. Right now, he's in a max out tier Twilight. At the end of the video, there'll be a little treat. I will go into his signature artifact, which I have at promotion 1, and I have never used on him. I've actually only tested out Twinfiend in Guild Boss on my account. I've done it on many other accounts many times, but on my account, in the build you see him in right now with this max out tier Twilight, I have no idea what's going to happen if I throw him into this, what do they even call it? The Devil's Gaze signature artifact. So that'll be a surprise for the end of the video. I will say I did just do a run with this build, and holy crap, it blew my mind. It was my personal best Guild Boss score by a mile. And I even left some optimization on the table. It was a ridiculous run. So without further ado, let's get into it. Let's go through his kit. Let's go through the builds. Let's go through the artifacts. And then let's do several runs comparing Twinfiend and then comparing Pyros and seeing what this is all about. How frickin' amazing is Twinfiend really when it comes to being just a bonkers Infernal Lord for Guild Boss? Let's get into it.
Fastidious.
Fastidious.
Alrighty, folks, so let's get into Twinfiend's kit, and then let's quickly compare it to Pyros' kit. So what is this thing all about? You will see. I'm going to do some big things. I'm going to put up a big number in Guild Boss. I know that already. Get excited for that. And that's without max skill ups. However, I have key things skilled out, namely his ultimate. So what you're going to want on his ultimate is at least to get it to level 4. That's going to bring the rage cost, the skill cost, down to 500, which is as low as it can go. That puts him right on pace with Pyros, or also a maxed out soul cadence. That's very typical of these Infernal Lords. They all cycle their ult at 500 cost. However, before we get to the ult, let's begin with the talent. Then we got to do Lord skill. Then we'll quickly go through everything else. It can get confusing with these Infernal Lords, so I'll try to keep it short and simple. The talent. When attacking, there's a 20% chance to hit the hero himself, so it's self-inflicted. This deals damage equal to 1% of his max HP, so literally like nothing. Like, let's just see the build I have on him right now. We've got him with 22.4k HP, so we are literally talking about 224 HP. Like, who cares? It does not matter. Pretend that part is not even in the kit. You're A-okay. Then when he does self-inflict himself with that 1% max HP damage, he is going to enter a state called Infernal Rage. It is going to last for 10 seconds. So what is this? All attacks will inflict burning effect. So he's putting out perpetual burn for those 10 seconds with every single hit. So basically, to take advantage of this, you need him going pretty quick. For other things in his kit, in general, you want him going quite quickly, namely for rage cycling. So he's building all that rage regen based off of attack, scaling very nicely with his rage regen percentage, which you could build on him if you're running his exclusive artifact. That will work very well as well. You really want him high attack speeds for all those reasons, but also so, the more quantity of times he's putting out hits, the more times you could hit on that 20% chance that he hits himself, barely any penalty, and then huge benefit that he's putting out tons and tons of burning, right? So now into the Lord skill, this is where it gets slightly confusing. Increases faction team members' basic attributes by 15%. This is absolutely the standard for all Legendary Lords and Watcher of Realms. Then, when Lord Twinfiend casts the Meteoric Strike, this is his ultimate, all faction team members gain the following buffs. So you get penetration increase, you're ignoring 30% of all resistances, defense break and magic resistance. Then you're getting crit rate increase, 20%. This is only during the ultimate though, that's important to know. And crit damage increase for 10 seconds. So these are all going to last from the time you trigger his ultimate for the next 10 seconds. All Infernal allies will get 30% crit damage, 30% penetration, ignoring 30% of all resistances and defenses and stuff, and then a 20% crit rate boost. If you're early or mid-game, that 20% crit rate boost can be kind of huge. However, by the end of the later game, even though he might be ulting a lot, you're not going to be building your best infernal DPS, like your Hex or your Zealatu, Setram, heroes like that, with 80%. Setram actually different case because he's got a different hard cap. But no, you will still have crit cap to your other team members. However, it can change how you choose to build him. I personally do like to get him pretty high crit rate, but you can feel a bit more comfortable not having him at 100% crit cap, not fully up at that hard cap. So that is going to be the Lord skill. However, you cannot talk about the Lord skill with these Infernals without discussing the ultimate because they kind of go hand in hand. As you can see, the Lord skill is dependent upon Meteoric Strike. So what does Meteoric Strike actually do? Well, as you can see, it's not max skill up yet, so I'm missing out on 60% blast damage. I don't really care about that. But what's important is we've got the skill cost down to 500. Normally it costs 600 without skill ups. And this marks one target in range with the highest HP. So amazing against bosses. You can use him in other content. Very good in Gear Raid 1, very good in Gear Raid 4, even though it's not bosses there. But, still can be relevant. However, in Guild Boss, there's only one target, so this piece doesn't really matter. Of course, he's going to mark the only target that is there. Then he's going to prioritize that target, and he calls 3 bouts of meteor showers upon the target and the surrounding enemies. So it does have a nice AoE component. This does kind of make him special. There's a touch of AoE in Soul Cadence Kit, but he certainly does not have the AoE that Twinfiend or even Pyros brings. So that's something that can really set Twinfiend apart. He can do some proper AoE damage. He's no Comet, he's no Boreas, he's no Virna, nothing like that. But it's there, and it's significant. And surrounding enemies, it's 120% damage, and then it inflicts stun. This is very good for non-guild boss PvE content, or even in PvP like in Arena. The stun's pretty nice, 0.5 seconds, but it's happening with all the hits. And then also burning, which he very well is already putting out if he's in an Infernal Rage state for those 10 seconds. The mark will then explode after 10 seconds, and it deals 340% AoE damage. This can go up to 400% with skill ups. And when the hero is deployed, this is the confusion, this is what Infernals are all about, he does a focused fire effect. So this is the same effect that Pyros does. For Soul Cadence, it's called Pyro Blitz, but basically it channels all this energy for the other Infernals on the team. They stop attacking, they channel their energy into said hero, the Lord hero, and you get a big burst. So faction team members except healers join forces to channel energy to the Lord for a powerful strike, regardless of their locations. It says besides healers, that is not true. At least when it comes to counting the number of participants, strictly from the game file, shout out to Terran, no, it does count healers. So if you have Twinfiend, Dolores, and then 3 other Infernals, that is a full team. That brings you up to the 800%. For every other member missing, so if you only have 4 members, it's down 100%. So then 700% is the max. If you only have 3 members, then 600% is the max. If you only have 2, then it's 500. And then if it's just Twinfiend rocking solo, I don't know why you would do that, then it will be 400%. So you can see there, the damage of the strike increases based on the number of participating heroes. So they're all going to stop. They're channeling energy. It is important to note, and you'll see me do this during the run. You want them ideally to be ulting when you do this because they'll be channeling a bigger contribution of energy and damage. I don't know the strict, minute specifics, but that very much is how it works. All in all, it's a huge blast, and you'll see we can insta-delete the first 2 shields like they were never even there when you time it out properly, which obviously I'm going to do. So now we got the basic attack. I've got this at level 4. It's 115% magic damage to one enemy. So, just spam in high attack speed, take advantage of this basic magic attack. It's not a huge piece of his kit, but it's relevant because you're going to be doing it a lot. Because a well-built Twinfiend, regardless of if it's a DPS build or like a hybrid build or just like a spammer support build, absolutely he will have very high attack speed. You can see this goes up to 120% from 100% base, depending on your skill ups. Now we got the first passive here, Sweltering Heat. When the ultimate is triggered, everything is coming back to that ultimate right now, right? Everything is coming back to to Meteoric Strike, including Feast of Devastation. Everything kind of points back to that, very typical of these Infernal Lords. So you can see here, when it is triggered, he immediately will enter that Rage state, the Infernal Rage, so he is not dependent on the talent on that self-infliction. However, you can keep super high uptime on that Infernal Rage state if when he's not ulting, you're also hitting himself a bunch, because you're doing that self-infliction and taking advantage of the talent. While in this state, damage increase is 40% and attack speed by 80. This starts out at only 30 and 60, and then this can go up to 50 and 100. If I had to max out one more skill, it would be this one. However, it's not something I feel like I absolutely need right now. But if you do want more damage out of Twinfiend himself, this is something you're going to want. The extra attack speed, the extra damage, it is very nice. Finally, and this one I do have maxed out, when Twinfiend attacks a target under burning, it will create an explosion that deals 60% AoE damage. So anytime he hits any hero that's currently under burning, you're getting this big AoE damage burst. It starts off at 40%. At max skill like this, it is 60%. This is significant for Guild Boss. It's not a ton of damage, but it is very reliable extra damage, because if you run a team with him, I mean, he's putting out a lot of burns, but then any other somewhat reliable burn heroes, the Guild Boss is probably always going to be under burning. So for a team like mine, where I've got Zealotue, and I've got Arrogance, and I've got Lust with Arrogance, so that bond, we're getting burning left, right, and center, even from Hex as well, right? I'm getting burning from everywhere. The Guild Boss is always under some amount of burning, if not many, many stacks of burning. So absolutely, this is always triggering. Not too bad to have it happening. It is only 60% damage, and it's AoE. The AoE doesn't matter for Guild Boss, but that is worth discussing. Now let's get into how this directly compares to Pyros before we get into why you really want your Twinfiend A1, because you need to understand Pyros first. So with Pyros, there's a lot of specifics in this kit I don't really have to get into. You can see he can get faster with his attack speed. He's got a talent thing over here. Very similar basic attack, only goes up to 110% magic damage, but you can see kind of similar. With the passive here, this is truly what sets him apart. And then the only other thing that you really need to know is he does only penetration increase. He does not do the crit rate boost or the crit damage boost. Everything else in the Lord skill is the same, except because he's epic, it's a 10% basic attribute boost as opposed to 15, because he's only an epic, not a legendary like Twinfiend. But with the focus fire, we have to show you he's got some other stuff where, you know, it happens, you know, a little extra AoE damage, whatever. The damage is not the thing with him, but you can see with skill ups it goes down to 500, and he also has focus fire. However, his max is only 700%. So if he was by himself, it's 300%. For each additional team member, you get another 100%, up to him and 4 other members for a full team of 5. That is going to be 700%. Not as strong as the legendary, that's because he's an epic and Twinfiend is legendary. It's not a huge difference though. The huge difference that exists with Pyros is going to be this passive, Delusional Gaze. Inflicts vulnerability, physical damage, and magic damage, and at max skill this goes up to 20%. So you can just think of general increased damage taken for any kind of damage, since it covers both physical and magic, to whatever target is receiving this, and it's going to be that marked target that comes from Destruction Command, his ult. So again, everything is pointing back to the ultimate in his kit, the same way everything's pointing back to the ultimate in Twinfiend's kit. So he marks the target with Destruction Command, and that target will receive 20% more damage, full stop, right? That is huge. Twinfiend does not have that in his kit without his A1. And you can see, and then there's a little extra AoE damage. Important that you have Pyros A3, because then this lasts for 5 seconds longer, and it is going to last for a full 15 seconds. That is really huge. So you have a 15-second uptime on a very strong vulnerability, dual vulnerability on both physical damage and magic damage. So for those 15 seconds, once you have him A3 or higher, the Guild Boss, because that's what we're discussing here, will receive 15% more damage. And this is from everybody, not just Infernal units. You know, it's just because the Guild Boss is just a debuff the Guild Boss is wearing. All your units, all your DPS, anyone putting damage out on the Guild Boss, that Guild Boss will receive 15% more. It really is as simple as that. So what does this have to do with A1 for Twinfiend? If you don't know, when Twinfiend gets A1, look at that. Now he's got some sauced up vulnerabilities. Targets marked with the ultimate will be inflicted with vulnerability, physical damage, and magic damage. The same as Pyros, right? No, it's better. So Twinfiend was already better than Pyros in every way, except for those vulnerabilities. Once you get him A1, and granted that is very hard because he's a legendary lord, but it's someone worth saving your soul stones for. You can see I have 3 soul stones. I've actually gotten 4 the whole time I've been playing this game, coming up on 300 days now. The only one I've ever used was to bring Twinfiend to A1, because this is so significant. It's even better than Pyros. It goes up to 25%. That is super duper strong, right? So physical damage and magic damage, increase the damage taken, damage received by 25%, not just from your Infernal allies, but from all allies on your team, anyone putting DPS out on the boss. That is very, very significant. And you can see it's for the duration of the ultimate, or the duration of the mark, and it is only 8 seconds on Twinfiend, so that is significant. However, because Twinfiend's ultimate does not last as long, it can come back up faster, so it kind of feels like it evens out. And the most important thing is these vulnerabilities are up when he's getting ready to do the focus fire and do the big blast. That is worth mentioning though, because Pyros lasts for a full 15 seconds. This is only going to last for 8 seconds. So you can click over here and it's saying when they are marked, and there's no duration extra on this. I'll quickly bring you through the other awakenings, but that's very much not the focus of this video, but just so you know them, we'll go through it quickly. Remember, these will be very hard to get. He is a legendary lord. Not ancient exclusive, but just a very hard to get legendary lord. So if we go to the A2 here, he himself is getting plus 5% attack, and then like all legendary lords, his lord skill will get a boost at A2. So you can see faction team members' crit damage will now be increased by 8%. Nothing here is saying it's dependent on meteoric strike. I haven't tested out specifically, so if anyone knows if it is, and now the crit damage increase just goes from 30% to 38%, you let me know. But I actually just think this is a flat permanent increase with no contingency of 8%. Pretty strong, not worth one of my soul stones, that's for sure. If we go to the A3, when Infernal Range is activated, this is the self-inflicted state, or the thing that comes from the ultimate when he starts putting out Burning. It increases his critical damage by 40%. That's pretty good. He actually does put out some solid DPS, especially in content outside of Guild Boss where you need like AoE stuff. But it's not such a necessity. It's also going to be very hard to get. Now, a very standard one here, plus 8% from his A4, and then A5 during the effect of Infernal Rage again, that rage state, increases rage regen by 100%. So that is just nutty. Very comfortably, you can blast past the soft cap. When you have this, he's going to be in the Infernal Rage state for most of the battle. So pretty strong awakenings there. Now that you have a strong understanding of Twinfiend's kit and how it relates to Pyros' kit, let's get ready to head into gearing. Alrighty, so for gearing, first off, I want to start with this, which is going to be heavily a support and really what I like to call a spammer build. So the kind of build that is very high attack speed and very high in rage regen, basically trying to be using your basic attack as much as possible and ulting as much as possible. So here there's a hybrid nature to it because I went for those stats, and then when I could, I would also pick up DPS stats, but as you can see, it's like broken set and it's a bit all over the place. But when it comes to attack speed and rage regen, the numbers are enormous. So this is much more of like a mid-game, late-game build. You might not be able to build this kind of like hybrid style thing right away, but just try to come close to it. I'll take you through each piece and tell you what I was looking for. Then we're going to move on to the build I'm actually going to feature, which is a proper DPS build in a Soulbound Arcana set, where I'm still hitting a lot of the stats that I'm going to highlight right here. So let's start with the ring. So for this kind of more support spammer focused build, definitely go for rage regen percentage on the ring. It's the easiest way to make sure you get a whole bunch of it. You can see you're going to get 60% from the main stat if it's not premium gear, meaning that red and yellow gear. And if it is, let's see if we can find an example here with Laurel, you'll see it's 66%. Those main stats are always 10% higher, so we get an extra 6% here. But this is the piece we're using, total broken set, don't care that it's Guardian, we're just looking for stats, 60% rage regen, then we got a nice chunk of attack speed, and then some DPS. I got a good attack bonus roll, and then a half-decent crit damage roll, flat HP, who cares? On the amulet for this kind of build, absolutely, you're going to want an attack speed amulet. You're going to want tons of attack speed. This lets him do basic attacks a lot. He can get into the Infernal Rage state a lot. And with each basic attack, he will be building more and more rage towards the ultimate and taking advantage of that huge rage regen percentage stat that we've been building on him. So here it is premium gear, so instead of being 200 on the main stat, it's 220, an extra 10%. And from there, I went for some rage regen and some really nice DPS stats. This is a very good piece. The attack bonus roll is really lame, but the rest is really good. Infernal Roar is a fine step, but that's not the point here. We're going broken set. We're just looking for the big attack speed, the DPS, and then big rage regen. Now for the bangle, we have to go attack bonus. We've completely neglected attack bonus as a main for the ring and the amulet since we went rage regen and attack speed respectively. So here I'm going attack bonus, and then again I'm hunting for DPS with attack speed and rage regen, and this piece has like perfect substats. Not great rolls, but not terrible. It has what we need. Non-premium, so it's only 60%, not 66, but we're kind of checking all our boxes. Now for the left side over here, attack speed is going to be king. You can only naturally get attack speed on the weapon. The only way to get attack speed on the breastplate is going to be if you got an ancient and you're very lucky. And the only way you're going to be able to get rage regen period is going to be if it's an ancient. You know, if you have a piece like this, you'll be able to get rage regen, but then we're getting a huge sacrifice when it comes to DPS. And I do want to have some hybrid nature here. So you can see with the breastplate, no attack speed, it's not ancient, but we got some very nice DPS, and we're running him in Whirlwind so we can get an extra attack speed bonus of 75 from the two-piece set bonus on our left side gear. And then over here, a nice attack speed roll, nice attack bonus, and then a little bit of crit rate. No crit damage, that's not possible on the weapon as well, unless it is an ancient piece. But all in all, it's a pretty solid build. Let's go to total stats here. Just over 13k attack. For Guild Boss, that is plenty. If you're using him in something else, you'd probably want to be more like 15 plus, at least 14 and a half. And then very fast, he's at 603 attack speed. We got that interval down from 2.6 to 1.4. Tons of rage regen percentage, that's 100%. And from my Pantheon, I'll show you guys that before we head into battle, I believe I have either 38 or 38.5% rage regen. So the soft cap for this is 100%. We're already hitting it just from gear. Very, very nice. And then you can see he's about 3/4, just less than 3/4 at 74.5%. Towards the crit cap of 100%, so it's fine. Crit damage just under 250%. All in all, I think this is a pretty solid build that, is going to be very attainable in the late game if you're willing to go broken set and just make it work. If we look at the artifact now, we've got him in a tier of Twilight. If you're really struggling for rage cycling, I highly suggest you just put him in a Nightmare Samsara. So you will see right here, with every 5 attacks, you will get a 7.5% rage boost. This is just any attacks. It's not rage regen dependent or anything. Another reason to build him with very high attack speed and get a lot of basic attacks out. You can even run this not full promo. Obviously 7.5% is really nice, but even at base, you're looking at 5% per 5 attacks. It's a really nice support weapon, a really nice spammer weapon, really good on someone like Mari or Laurel or Twinfiend here if you're going to go for this kind of build. However, definitely pick up some DPS. Without question, the best DPS artifact in the game for any mage is going to be Tier of Twilight. If you're just looking for big numbers, it helps as well since we have such low attack. Now we're going to get a post-deployment boost of 30% as long as its HP is higher than 80%. It's not going to go lower than that, really, because we're going to have pretty consistent healing, maybe towards the end of the battle, but at that point, it'll be fine. We're already hitting all our numbers. And then, like I said, if you've got his exclusive, we are going to find out in this video, because I've never tested it in Guild Boss, we're going to find out if it's an improvement. But this will be the build we do for now. If you want to do that hybrid build, that spammer build, to put him in a Nightmare Samsara if you don't have gear and artifacts like me. However, what's the build I actually want to put on him? I actually put that on Pyros right now while it's in waiting, while I showed you the other build. This would be the more premium build. It's not my best gear, but we were able to get him in some proper DPS, some proper high spammer stats. Unfortunately, we missed the rage regen, but I'll explain why I think that's A-okay. And we got him in the best, by far, the best set for him in the whole game, and that is going to be Soulbound Arcana. If you don't know, Soulbound Arcana is bugged right now, and it's taking any instance of any ally's ult towards these 5 stacks, so it's kind of the best set for everyone. But for Twinfiend, even if it wasn't bugged, it absolutely would be the best, because he ults so much and so frequently. Because you run him with such high attack speed, and because he has such a low-cost ultimate, this is just a brilliant, brilliant set for him. So this is what I suggest everyone endgame should run him in. You'll see here we went attack bonus, we went attack speed, and we went crit damage, so a nice little mix there of high speed but a lot of DPS. We're in Soulbound Arcana. I'm hunting for all the right sets. Here we got attack bonus, crit rate, crit damage. Here we got attack speed with all the DPS plus a big flat attack roll. Here we got crit damage with all the DPS and also a little flat attack. These rolls aren't too crazy, but my absolute best Soulbound Arcanas going to my other heroes over here like Hex and Arrogance and, of course, Lust. Here you can see we went for some DPS as well, and we're also picking up that Warlord set because we get a little attack speed boost. And over here, we're looking for attack bonus, crit rate, and attack speed. We're not getting rage regen on this stuff unless it's Ancients. I don't have that kind of gear, but if you're even end gamer than me and you've got better gear, luckier gear, you can definitely look into that. So why do I think we can get away with no rage regen percentage? Well, I said I was going to show you the Pantheon. I will show you now. I have a very well-developed Pantheon. You can see level 77, so we're at 38% rage regen contribution. This is after we deploy him, but basically we're already almost halfway there to the soft cap. This is plenty. We're also going to have my Twinfiend, and this is the big reason, directly in Laurel range. So every time I'm picking up Laurel, because we're going to do a Laurel cycling comp, he will get 50% rage back. That's going to be 250 rage in his case. And that is just plenty. It's going to help him cycle just a ton. We're also running him with Hollow. So he's getting rage regen for all different places. So combine that with the Pantheon and with his super high attack speed, I think we can absolutely get away with it. And that attack speed is really high, right? We cut his attack interval in half, down from 2.6 seconds to 1.3 seconds. He's at 504. He's getting close to crit cap. He's at 91%. Remember, when he is ulting, he will be above it because he's going to get a 20% crit rate increase. That's from his Lord skill. He's over 300% crit damage. We've got very high, at least for this kind of build, very high attack at 15.6. Could this build be better? Absolutely. but he's getting like my 4th or 5th best Soulbound Arcana gear here, so I'm pretty happy with it. We will run him as we go into testing right now in this maxed out tier of Twilight. However, after that, we will do a run with this Promo 1 exclusive artifact, the Devil's Gaze, because I'm very curious to see if that's better. This thing is really cool. I'll go over it later when we talk about it, but for now, we're going to take this build, directly port it over to Pyros, and then we're going to put Pyros in a maxed out tier of Twilight, and we are going to do a run. I will then do that exact same run with Twinfiend. We will compare. I got to put Laurel's artifact on. I'm going to just do this while I film so I don't forget, because we did take that off for the example. We're going to see Pyros in the build that we're featuring right now with the maxed out tier Twilight. Then we are going to see Twinfiend, and then we're going to see Twinfiend as exclusive, and hopefully we should see some amazing results. One final thing I want to explain is A0 Twinfiend versus Pyros. You know, the conventional wisdom is going to be that Pyros at A3 or higher is better for your team than Twinfiend. However, in certain cases, it actually can be true that even A0 Twinfiend is better than Pyros. So why is that? Well, A0, you don't have him at A1, so you don't have any vulnerabilities. So this can really hurt your team because those vulnerabilities are debuffs directly on the guild boss, and they can help your whole team. So if you're running non-infernal DPS, they're still going to be putting out more damage when the guild boss is under those vulnerabilities. So how could it be that him at A0 could ever be better? Well, to begin with, he can put out more DPS than Pyros. Not a huge DPS, but Pyros, especially in not a heavy DPS build, will put out basically nothing. Twinfiend can at least put out something. So that can start making up a bit of the difference. However, that is not the key thing. The key thing is going to be, because Twinfiend's Lord skill, when he is ulting, he gives such amazing boosts of not just penetration increase like what Pyros does, but also a crit rate increase, and namely a crit damage increase, as well as 5% extra basic attributes, not just to your DPS, but also to Dolores, who's going to be buffing everybody in her range with the inspiration. That can make up the difference. So it's worth testing out on comps if you run a very infernal heavy team, so like not just Twinfiend / Pyros and Dolores and Zealot, but also you have at least one other main DPS and main good DPS. So honestly, I don't mean Nocturne or Anai, but I mean like Hex or Cetrum. It might be a good shout. I have found you really need 3 good infernal DPS for A0 Twinfiend to compete or outpace A3 plus Pyros, A3 or A5 Pyros. However, it's worth testing out for yourself. I'll tell you right now, if it's just like Twinfiend and Zeal 2 and Nocturne, it's not going to happen. Certainly, if you don't have Zeal 2, then I definitely don't think it's going to happen. But if you have something like A0 Twinfiend, then like Zeal 2, Hex, and Nocturne, that could do it. Or certainly if you have, A0 Twinfiend and Zeal 2, Cetrum, and Hex, that really could be the difference. So even though conventional wisdom is going to be A3 Pyros is greater than Twinfiend, that is not always the case. So let's get into some gameplay. I do want to say this could take me a few runs because of Dolores RNG, and I want it fairly smooth between Pyros and then our 2 Twinfiend runs. If you do not know, Dolores, when she ults, she does inspiration. When that finishes, she has a 50% chance, and then at A5 an 80% chance that she will regain 300 rage. That is 1/3 of her rage bar, because the skill cost on her ultimate is 900. If we miss this at key parts, I will have to start the run over. Just want to cover that. If you see weird cuts or anything like that, I just want consistency. I want good, clear and comparable content for you guys to have and to consume. I'll quickly show you just while we're here everyone's build. I'm not going to break it down, but you can see these guys are all wearing like some of the best gear on my account because it's my guild boss team. It's very important to me. You can see we've got lots of good gear. They're all wearing like optimal artifacts like max out Wailing Skulls, stuff like that. You can imagine. Twinfiend, not anything right now. Pyros is in the build. You can see we've got a little Invig on Wrath. Check out my holo guide. This is exactly the build that I built with you guys in that guide. Then we've got Dolores with pretty high attack because she is in a Golden Scarab. And then finally we've got Laurel, who doesn't matter too much. Just make sure she's an Invig and have some fun. Make sure she's promo 5. She doesn't even need to be 6 stars. Okay, that is everything you need to know. Let's head into battle and let's get going. I'll do the setups with you probably on each run, at the very least at the start of the first Pyros run and the first Twinfiend run. But after that, we'll probably just fast forward to the end so we can see the results. I'll also raise myself so I'm not in the way. That would be oh so terrible. Okay, so let us see and let us begin. First placement is going to be Hex. I just always do him first. You're going to see me stopping. I just want this to be optimal. Then we place Laurel, so Invig goes on Hex. Now we're going to get Zealot 2. Then we can get Dolores, and her Invig goes on Zealot 2. Then over here, we can get Arrogance. Now I'm going to place Wrath. He puts Invig on Arrogance. We pick up Wrath. Now we place Miss Hollow. Then we can place, we place Lust. Now we place Hollow. She puts Invig on Lust. And now I place Pyros. So if you notice, my cycle, because we're doing a Laurel comp, we need to cycle units in and out. So there's 3 units you need to cycle because you have 7 always on the field, and then the other 3 cycle into the 8th spot. One obviously is going to be Laurel because this is a Laurel cycling comp. Then the other 2, it's going to be Wrath because we don't care about him. He's just there as a Nightmare Lord. I obviously don't have Torador, otherwise I'd be using Torador. And then the third one, I'm going to use Setram. Setram works really nicely because he's Infernal. I can time out his ults very nicely so I get big blasts when I really need them, in vulnerable states or maybe towards the end if I want them with the shields. But because of that, I can actually have Pyros, and then later you'll see Twinfiend in this spot over here. Why is this spot significant? Well, you can see he's in Laurel range. Laurel range is the immediate squares touching her in the center tile. So the 3 above, 3 below, 1 to the left, 1 to the right. And then also, he is in range of Dolores. So he will get cycled a ton, and the same will happen for Twinfiend. That's the key thing here. So actually, tons of ults and tons of DPS, because getting inspo from Dolores and getting a lot of rage from Laurel. All right, let me focus on the run here. I'll just talk you through it. We're going to hold these guys. The timings are pretty key. You'll see it's going to be really cool when we do it with Twinfiend. When we hit about 90, that's when I'll trigger Seala 2 and Hex. When it's at about 97, 98, 99, that's when I can trigger Pyros. Don't trigger Laurel, because if you do trigger Laurel, then anyone you trigger after with their ult, they will not get the damage increase she gives from her passive. So if we click over here on Hex, you'll see he's getting a 20% damage increase. So first do Lust, and now we can wait a beat. Pyros is going to do his blast when he's half left. That is worth it's worth noting. That's very important when this is half left on the ultimate. Twin is different. He does the blast when his thing runs out. That's because Pyros' thing lasts 15 seconds, Twin lasts 8 seconds. So that's something to very much be cognizant of. So make sure you have triggered Dolores before Pyros reaches that halfway point. So we'll do it right now and do it with Twin before he expires. So now that everyone's been triggered, we can pick up Laurel. We can put down Setram. And now we can kind of settle in. So we got everyone surrounding Laurel just got a big rage boost. We wait. And let's see. You see, Pyros is going to be ready very quickly. You want to trigger his ult when we have a nice chunk of ult remaining for Seala 2 and Setram and Hex. We want this all to line up because while they're ulting, when he does his focus fire, the exact same thing will be true of Twin. We'll get a much bigger blast, some much bigger damage. And we need to do it when Dolores has at least this mark here on her ult bar remaining or more. So you can see I had the timings wrong. So I'm going to start this over right now. Now you understand the placement so I can quickly catch back up. But if you don't trigger it then, you'll see I'll trigger Pyros now. And by the time he does his blast, when he's halfway done, Dolores will finish ulting, so when he does the blast, there will not be inspiration. Sure, you could do it like this and immediately trigger again, but if you want to do conservative Dolores timing like I do a lot, I have a whole video on how to Dolores-proof your run, then you would have to start it off and time it out well that, you did Pyros early enough that it lined up with Dolores the first time and also the second time. I hope that makes sense. I cover it in a lot of other videos and takeovers. Because if you wanted it to be Dolores-proof, you'd have to be sitting, assuming that you're never getting that plus 300 rage. That's not what we're doing here. Smooth enough. Let us continue. I'll probably fast forward through here, and then we'll pick it up at the end, and we'll see what those big numbers look like. Okay, here's an important thing, so I'm going to interrupt the fast forward to articulate this, and I know it's like the Pyros run, so it doesn't really matter, but all these tenets hold true with Twinfiend. So when you trigger Pyros or Twinfiend, you want Dolores to have at least 80% fill up towards her next ult. If it's less than that, they will be going when she is not ulting, and then that's obviously suboptimal because you want them to have inspiration and everyone else to have inspiration when you do the blast. I find 83% to be the safest. It's going to be slightly different for everyone else depending on the rage on their account. So I'll wait. Now we pass 83. The rage regen built on Dolores on their account, and also what's in your Pantheon. But you can see now we'll do it, and now we'll line up. So before he's at halfway, we'll be ready to ult with Dolores. But you can see it lines up very, very close. So you can see he's about to blast. We trigger Dolores, and now comes the blast. You see that difference? It's very important, and it's very tight if you miss that. So let's continue. Okay, here we go, guys. We got just over 20 seconds left in the run. You can see we're about to pass 55K. I think there were a few moments that I could have optimized things slightly better. I picked up Laurel when I should have waited for Hollow to ult at one point. A couple other things like that. All in all, the Dolores RNG was very generous. As long as we get that first instance, I'm pretty happy with it. That's the only one I'm kind of be a stickler about. Aside from that, it was a good run. You can see we just passed 57K. I think this sets a really nice baseline and source of comparison when we put in Twinfiend right now and we see how he does. So let's quickly check. That's the run. So we're at 57.7. Quite solid, if I do say so myself. And this just goes to show you, Twinfiend is awesome, but if you eventually farm up good enough artifacts and gear and awakenings on your heroes like I have had, I've been doing this for months now. I've been able to get 50K with all epic lords. So Twinfiend, that's part of the reason I was able to procrastinate on doing this so long and doing this guide. But you can see big numbers here, 139 mil for Zealot, 124 for Hex. We've got 91.9 for Arrogance, and then in the rear, and this is mostly because she's outside of Laurel range, so she doesn't get to ult as much, we have Lust at 71.7, and Pyros putting up a really respectable number at 37.4. I dig that for sure. So he's fully skilled out. Twinfiend won't be, but Twinfiend's obviously a better hero. So let's put Twinfiend in now, the exact same build, and let's see what we can do. Okay, now for the reason you probably clicked on this video, let's get Pyros' dumbass out of here, and let's get Twinfiend in the mix. Here comes Twinfiend. We're going to directly swap all that gear back over from Pyros to Twinfiend. Pyros should actually be on top here, right? Because he's favorited, so we can go like that. There we go. It's all on Twinfiend now. We'll put him in that maxed out tier Twilight. Hopefully I nail this on my first try, because I cannot wait to get him in his exclusive artifact, since I've literally never done that before. Reminder, these are our skill ups. I think we know everything. Let's head into battle. I'm going to talk you through the beginning, and I'm going to talk you up through when we burst the first shield, because hopefully I just nail this and it goes great, because we'll do the same with the second shield. But after that first shield, we'll probably fast forward again until the end of the battle. So first off, we're going to get Hex down like I always do. Now Laurel, she puts Invig on Hex. Now we do Sealy. Now we do Dolores, she puts Invig on Sealy. Now we do Arrogance, quickly do Wrath. Another reason to get Wrath out early, I should have mentioned before, is now we've had 3 Nightmare units out, so we're improving the bonus we get from his Lord skills. Now it's a 20% attack speed boost for Arrogance and for Lust, and for whenever Wrath comes back on the field. Now we do Lust. Now we do Hollow. Now we do Twinfiend, and we're good to go. So everything else is the same. We'll try to get all our timings really perfect here. Nothing's going to change too much at the beginning. Honestly, nothing's going to change too much at all. I do want you to see, though, how the ult looks different with Twinfiend. He actually does his blast when it finishes, as opposed to halfway. I will say Soul Cadence is the same as Pyros. Soul Cadence does it halfway. Twinfiend, for some reason, doesn't do that. I guess because the ult is shorter, but it's just a weird thing. I wish they made that consistent. So we hit about 91. That's a good time to trigger. We get about 97, 98, or whatever. Now we can trigger this. Now we trigger Hollow. I'm going to hold off for a minute. We're going to hold off on Lust too. Once Dolores is at like 93, 95, it's good. Now we wait towards the end of this ult. Now I will trigger Dolores. So you can see now we do the blast. Now comes Dolores. Perfect. Now we can pick up Laurel. Now we can get Setram down. Looking very good. So here comes Twinfiend up again. And we will see. I'm going to wait. And now I'm going to nail this shoulder thing, because I do think it's important you guys see that. So we need him to start ulting before she hits the shoulder, but I also need him to start ulting after the meteorite impact thing comes up. So it's actually perfect timing. We trigger that, and now you'll see we're going to insta-blast down the shield. Can I get Setram going? I can't. He got locked out. Not a bad thing, because we'll be able to put DPS in after the vulnerable state. So you'll see, now the shield's going to come up, and the second the shield comes up, we lined it up with that timing that the big focus fire blast is just going to one-shot it. So look, here comes the shield, and as the shield was coming up, the focus fire blast game, you barely even saw it, right? So now we trigger Dolores again, and now we can trigger Setram. You should be able to go. Come on, Setram. There we go. Perfect. Hopefully it lines up with Twin. I was a little over-eager here. We want him at 100% before she hits that shoulder. I was too over-eager, so I'm going to pick that back up in a second. Let me restart this, because I want this to be a nice smooth run. We'll pick it up back here, and then we'll go to fast-forward mode. All right, here we go again. So this is the first shield. You see Dolores just about to hit the shoulder. Now the meteorite impact came up, so now I trigger. And what I'm going to do this time, assuming I get the roll again, the roll being the plus 300 rage towards Dolores' ult once she finishes this one, assuming that happens, I'm going to hold for a minute just to make sure she's still ulting. When Twinfiend goes, there's actually a numerical trick I can teach you guys. So let's trigger with Hollow. Let's see, is Dolores going to get the roll? Let's trigger Setram. She did get the roll, so she's ready to ult, but we're not going to do it yet. What I find is about 30% to be safe. I'll do 35% when Twins loaded up. That's when you can trigger Dolores, and it guarantees she's still ulting and before the shoulder when it's his time to go. So we'll wait. All right, now we'll go. We'll line up pretty well with Hex as well. We'll trigger Hex there, and now it should all be good. So you can see he's at 60-something, whatever. Here comes Lust as well. If we want to be really conservative, and I'll probably do this when I set my auto if I have to, I'd probably just wait till it lines up with Lust altogether, and then just kind of forego that Dolores RNG entirely. Check out my Dolores proofing guide if you're curious about that, but that's not what we're doing here. So there you go, lines up perfectly. We got ulting with all our guys, Setchrum, Zealot2, and Hex, and Dolores is below the shoulder, and here comes Twinfiend, so that all just lines up brilliantly. So we should see a big damage. You can see we're already at 14k at 30-40. My number is always, am I over 13k? By 3 minutes and 30 seconds remaining, am I over 13k? So clearly you're going to be way over that. Let's see how big this blast is. So we're at 15 right now. Let's see the blast return put us right over 16, 16-3. I mean, that's crazy damage. And you can see here the vulnerabilities, the magic damage taken plus 25% physical damage taken. Brilliant stuff, brilliant stuff. Really, really like that. So let's see. Here we come on that 330. I'll pause it 1 second. So at 330, I'm usually aiming for about 13k blood. We're at 17.3. Lately, I'll tell you, I mean, you saw it with Pyros, especially on manualing, but even on auto, I can get to like 14, sometimes occasionally 15, 17.3. That's a great kind of indicator that, holy crap, this is going to be a good run. I'm going to call it right now. We're going over 60k, no doubt in my mind. So let's buckle up. We'll fast forward through this. Mitchell will do some great editing. We'll catch you guys with like 25 seconds left, and we'll see how we did. I'm actually going to interrupt it here. You can see we just did the focus fire with Twinfiend. His ultimate just ran out, but you can see we still have a few seconds left on those vulnerabilities. So it actually doesn't last 8 seconds. I believe it must last about 12 seconds. If anyone knows the exact time that those plus 25% vulnerabilities last, do let me know, because it says while they are marked, but clearly the mark is lasting for longer than the duration of the ult then, I presume. So that's pretty cool to know. So it actually makes him even more comparable and then thus better than Pyros. But here we are, man. We just finished the second shield for 2 minutes 20. We're at 34.3k. Big number incoming. Okay, here we go. We're just over 30 seconds left. We just got an ult lining up with everything, so this worked out really well. This should put us about over 60. I'm curious where we're going to end up. Somewhere 61 to 63, I'm guessing. But you can see it's some big boy numbers. The team is good, so we did it quite comfortably with Pyros, but we're going to put up a very big number with Twinfiend here. Pretty cool to see. Really, really nice. I'll tell you guys, in my practice run with all the same stuff here, we did get 65 with Twinfiend, which was kind of nutty. But here we're looking at, I don't know, 63 or something, so that's pretty nice. Another little tip, you can see when you have less than 8 seconds left, so you won't be able to get his ult off, do not trigger him, because he's just going to lock people out for no reason. So that didn't line up too well for us, but the rest is pretty fine, so I'm not going to trigger Twin there. Should get to about 63, it looks like. And yeah, there you go, 63k or so, pretty nice. The other source of comparison was the run I did previously when I was streaming. I am streaming now, actually, twitch.tv/Fastidious_GG. But yeah, I'm very, very, very keen to see what's going to happen with this exclusive artifact. And the big benefit we see, and this is because of the bug that exists between Focus Fire and Zealot2, she benefits a ton from being with Pyros and Twinfiend. So I think before she was at, we can pull this up when we're editing, she was at like 139 million or something. Now she went up a ton because she was working well with Pyros. She's working even better with Twinfiend. So she's getting a nice chunk better than Mr. Hex over here. You can see I could definitely work on my Nightmare units, but they're rocking with the Epic Lord, not the Legendary Lord. Very cool stuff. All right, let me put on his exclusive artifact and let's do our final run. Alrighty, so let's hop on in with that exclusive artifact. So with the Tier Twilight, for the 2 runs I did, the one before I started filming when I was on stream, the one after, we did 65, we did 63. A lot of that just comes down to random RNG, mostly with Dolores. But now we're bringing in the exclusive, and it is at Promotion 1. Basic attack restores 1.3% rage. During the effect of Destruction Command, 3 extra waves of Meteor Shower will be summoned, only single target damage. Who cares? We're only doing single target damage here. It is only the guild boss. I am hoping to see his damage go up a lot. So he was doing like in the high 40s, low 50s, I think is the best we saw. I know, though, I actually don't even remember if I checked. I'd have to go back and see when I edit the previous run, but I know in the one I did before, he did about 47 or 48 million. I would really like to see this bring his damage up. Keep in mind, he's losing a ton of attack because he's losing this amazing Tear of Twilight maxed out. Also losing some of that base stat contribution. A nice chunk of HP, not so much attack. I mean, it's coming out to what, 360 attack that he's missing out on from that base stat contribution. But could the rage be enough that we can cycle him even more effectively? And most importantly, what are those 3 extra waves of meteor showers gonna do? So I'm very, very, very curious to see. Let's find out. Let's throw this bad boy on. And, you know, I'm still going to make sure we at least get that first instance of Dolores RNG. But let's just head into an actual battle. No more playtest. Let's get that spice right, and let's get in there. Not too much more to say. You've already seen the setup a bunch. We can do it now if you want. I think I'll probably just get these guys down, say wish me luck, and then we'll head fast forward and head to the end of the battle. Because, I mean, I can't wait. I'm sure you guys can't wait either. Especially if you made it this deep into the video, baby. All right, we got Zilly down. Let's get Wrath. Let's get oh, before we do that, we got to do... Yes, wait, excuse me. Let's get Wrath up. Sorry. Oh, I messed up. Okay. X. Laurel. Always talk to yourself. It makes it easier. Sela 2. Let's get Dolo. Let's get Arrogance. There we go. Let's get Wrath pointed in. There we go. Up. Sorry, my brain just shut off for a second. Up, and there you go. So there's RNG, right? Zela 2 summoned her Shadow Demon in the spot I want to put Lust. Time to start over. Once again. Thank you, Mitchell. Let's go. All right, Sexy Hexy, Laurel, Sela 2, Wrath. We'll just do Wrath there. It doesn't matter the order, really. Okay, let's do Arrogance, Dolo, Lust. Let's get her quick before any... No, and she summoned the goddamn Komodo. All right, so when that happens, exit the instance, start over. Don't just keep re-rolling that horrible luck. All right, challenge again. Jeez Louise. Okay, so here we go. Nice little run here. We just passed 60K with 32 seconds left. Curious to see what's going to happen. I mean, I think at this point, you know, whether it's 63 or 65 or 67, it's kind of a wash. To be fair, I am using a maxed out Tear of Twilight, so it's even close at all. That's pretty cool. There's obviously a bunch of little RNG moments going in here, but a really nice performance. I'm very curious specifically to see how this compares to Twins damage before, which I believe was like in the high 40s, high 40 millions. I mean, very interesting. So there we go. I will say he's definitely rage cycling way faster. It helps so much. So if you're having trouble with cycling at all, it's super, super, super strong. Super strong. Let's wait here. We're going to wait for... Should we wait for Dolores? I think we have to, yeah. So we go like this. We go like this. We're going to sit on Twinfiend. We only need 8 seconds, right? So let's wait till Dolores gets to that 80 whatever. 83 or 85 is fine. Now it should be good. We should get 1 blast off before the end, and that should get us about 65K. So let's see here. Throw us on 2x. The other guys aren't going to get their ults off in time. And maybe, can we get 66? Ooh, so close. There we go, 65.8, and that was a real run, so that's definitely my new PB. Curious to see how I stack up within my guild, so we'll check that out. 65.8, let's check the stats. Basically the exact same for his damage, so he's getting to ult maybe slightly more often, but I do still have to time it all out, so I don't think there's a huge benefit when you've got some cycling. If you went with like Eloin or something and you didn't do a Laurel strat, I think it would be way better. Not that strat would be better, but I think you'd see the difference the exclusive makes would be better. But I think for this, because we're cycling him next to Laurel so much as it is, it's not so stark. It'd be something to think about, you know? Maybe he could get away with being a little outside of the Laurel range. But all in all, it's still a nice number, 47.8. All the rest of the numbers look pretty similar. We actually broke 180 with Zela 2 that time. She was in, I think, 176. So that's really good. And we actually had a better run out of Hex. All in all, that's my best run ever, period, like that I've ever done. So 65.8, I'm pretty happy. I'll definitely be on that little chase for 70. I have like a crit rate bangle on arrogance and stuff. This gear is it? I mean, but kind of to accommodate some very good left side gear. But, you know, things are not perfect and beautiful and optimal and all that jazz. So all in all, I definitely can improve further, but that's a pretty nice score. Let's see how I did in my guild. I'm number 2 in the guild right now. I don't know if everyone's got their fight shots out today, but you can see there's only 4 of us that have broken 60. But yeah, not everyone's on their guild battle today, but pretty good. Let's check world rankings. I don't even know what the bottom of the world rankings look like. I'm not so far off. Like, there might be one day. Obviously, not everyone's done their fights yet today, but, you know, I'm in the conversation, baby. All in all, I'm feeling pretty good about this. And I really hope this helped a lot of people. This guide was brutal to make. I've been filming for over 2 hours. So if you appreciate it, please subscribe to the channel. Please let me know what you think in the comments. Like it. Assuming the edit was fire, say good job to Mitchell. He always does such amazing work.
This was a terrible edit. He should be fired immediately.
And yeah, share it with your mother. I'll see you real soon.
Fastidious.